Almost everything you have ever thrown away over a stain was savable. You just grabbed the wrong weapon, or you used heat and cooked it in forever. There are only 5 cheap things you need, most already under your sink. And once you know which stain answers to which weapon, nothing is permanent again. No product on the shelf does what these do. Let's go. Weapon 1 is hydrogen peroxide, the oxidizer. It works by attacking the part of a molecule that makes it colored. Stains look like stains because their chemical structure reflects light a certain way. Peroxide releases oxygen that breaks those bonds apart. And once the structure shatters, the color is simply gone. It is the closest thing you have to gentle bleach that won't destroy the fabric. This is your weapon for the organic, colored stains that scare people most. 1. Blood. Start here, because this is the rule that saves more clothing than any product ever made. Never put hot water on blood. Blood is protein, and heat does to protein exactly what it does to an egg white in a hot pan. It cooks it solid and bonds it permanently into the fibers. Once that happens, the stain is there for life. Cold water only, always. Rinse from the back of the fabric so you push the blood out the way it entered instead of driving it deeper through the weave. Then pour hydrogen peroxide directly on the spot. That dramatic fizzing is not soap. It is real chemistry. Blood contains an enzyme called catalase, and its entire job in your body is to break down peroxide. When the two meet, the catalase rips the peroxide apart into water and oxygen, and that burst of bubbling oxygen is what physically lifts the stain up and out of the fibers. The fresher the blood, the more violent the fizz, and the cleaner the lift. For dried blood, soak in cold salt water first to rehydrate it, then hit it with peroxide. 2. Red wine. Before the fix, let me kill 2 myths that ruin more carpets than the wine itself. First, club soda. Lab testing has shown it works no better than plain water. The fizz feels like it is doing something, but it isn't. Second, and worse, salt. People dump salt on red wine because it looks like it is absorbing the stain, but on many fabrics, the salt actually locks the pigment in and sets it permanently. Skip both. Blot? Never rub, because rubbing drives the pigment sideways and grinds it into the fibers. Then apply a mix of hydrogen peroxide and a single drop of dish soap. Red wine gets its deep color from pigments called anthocyanins, the same compounds that color blueberries and red cabbage, and the peroxide oxidizes them straight to colorless. Strange bonus, those same pigments are pH sensitive, which is why a splash of white wine or even a little baking soda can shift and weaken the color in the first frantic seconds. 3. Grass. Grass stains are technically dye stains. Chlorophyll, the green pigment that runs photosynthesis, bonds to fabric exactly like ink does, and it is reinforced by plant proteins that grip the fibers too. That double grip is why plain washing fails. Dab the spot with a little white vinegar first. The acid loosens the chlorophyll's bond. Then follow with hydrogen peroxide and dish soap. The peroxide bleaches out the green, the soap lifts the plant oils. For white sports socks and pants, this combination outperforms almost every name brand pre-treater on the market, for pennies. 4. Coffee and tea. Both are tannin stains. Tannins are the bitter plant compounds that make oversteeped tea pucker your mouth, and they bond readily to cotton and become much harder to remove once they dry. Rinse in cold water immediately, then treat with peroxide and a touch of dish soap. One specific mistake to avoid: do not reach for bar soap. Old-fashioned bar soap reacts chemically with tannins and sets them harder. Exact opposite of what you want. And if it is a coffee with cream and sugar, you are fighting 3 stains at once: tannin, grease, and sugar. So it may take a soap pass and a peroxide pass. 5. Yellow armpit stains. This one fools people because they think it is dirt. It isn't. It is the aluminum compounds in your antiperspirant reacting with the proteins in your sweat, slowly building a yellow, crusty buildup that bonds into the fabric over months. That is why scrubbing alone never works. You are fighting a chemical deposit, not surface grime. Make a paste of hydrogen peroxide, baking soda, and a squirt of a dish soap. Work it in and let it sit a full hour. The peroxide oxidizes the yellow color. The baking soda is mildly abrasive and neutralizes the acids, and the soap cuts the body oils trapped in the crust. To prevent it returning, let your antiperspirant dry fully before dressing. 6. Pet urine. Here, oxidizing alone is not enough, and this is the key insight. Urine smell comes from uric acid crystals, and those crystals are not water-soluble, which is why cleaning with soap and water makes the visible stain vanish, but the smell roars back days later, especially in humidity. The crystals are still there. You need an enzyme cleaner, which contains specific enzymes that literally digest the uric acid and the proteins holding the odor. That is the only thing that ends it for good. In an emergency, white vinegar neutralizes the alkaline salts and knocks the smell down. followed by baking soda to absorb what's left. But for a repeat offender spot, enzymes are non-negotiable. Weapon 2 is plain dish soap, a surfactant. Its molecules are built with two ends. One end is attracted to oil, the other to water. When you work it into a greasy stain, the oil-loving ends bury themselves in the grease while the water-loving ends face out. So when you rinse, the whole grease droplet gets surrounded and floated away in the water. That is the entire reason soap exists. This is your weapon for anything oil-based. 7. Cooking oil and grease on clothing. Fresh grease has a secret first step most people skip. Before any soap, cover the spot in cornstarch, baby powder, or even flour and wait 10 minutes. These powders are hygroscopic. They physically draw the oil up out of the weave like a sponge, so there is less grease to fight before you even start. Brush the powder off, then work undiluted dish soap directly into the spot, not diluted in a sink, straight from the bottle, and let it sit 15 minutes before washing. The concentrated surfactant needs contact time to surround all that oil. 8. Old set-in grease. This is the most counterintuitive trick in the entire video. To remove dried, old grease, you sometimes have to add oil back. A tiny dab of WD-40 on the back of the fabric re-wets and reactivates the hardened grease, turning it back into something the dish soap can actually grab onto. Without that step, the dried grease is too solid for the surfactant to penetrate. After the WD-40 blot, then attack with dish soap, then wash in hot water, because grease, unlike protein, melts and releases at high temperature. This is the one stain family where heat is your friend, not your enemy. 9. Lipstick and makeup. The reason water makes lipstick worse, smearing it into a wider pink disaster, is that lipstick is built on oils and waxes, and oil repels water. So treat it as grease, never as a water stain. Dab dish soap directly onto the mark, and work gently from the outside edge inward, which keeps the stain from spreading outward into clean fabric. Foundation is the same story. Most foundations are oil-based, so the same dish soap approach beats expensive makeup remover wipes. For lipstick specifically, a splash of rubbing alcohol first helps break down the staining dyes layered into the wax. 10. Crayon on walls. Crayon is wax plus pigment, basically lipstick for kids. The wax responds to dish soap on a damp cloth, which cuts the waxy base. For stubborn marks, add a pinch of baking soda to the sponge. It provides just enough gentle grit to lift the color without sanding the paint off your wall. The classic hack, a hairdryer to soften the wax first, then wipe, works for the exact same reason. Warm wax surrenders far more easily than cold, hardened wax. Weapon 3 is rubbing alcohol and acetone, the solvents. Water can only dissolve things that are water-friendly. Inks and dyes are specifically engineered not to be, which is why water just spreads them. Solvents dissolve what water can't, breaking the ink back into a liquid you can lift away. This is your weapon for ink, marker, and polish. 11. Ballpoint pen on fabric. First, a myth that needs to die. Hairspray. It genuinely worked decades ago because old hairspray was mostly alcohol, and the alcohol was doing the work. Modern hairspray formulas slashed the alcohol and loaded in oils, polymers, and resins. So today it often leaves a sticky, greasy ring that is harder to remove than the ink you started with. Go straight to the real thing. Lay the stain face down on a stack of paper towels, then dab rubbing alcohol onto the back. The dissolved ink bleeds down into the paper towel below instead of spreading out across the fabric. Move to a clean section of paper towel every few dabs, so you are always pulling ink out, never pushing it back in. 12. Permanent marker on hard surfaces. Permanent marker is only permanent against water. It is built from dye, a solvent, and a resin that grips the surface. Rubbing alcohol dissolves it easily, but the cleanest hack on a whiteboard or any non-porous surface is to color directly over the dried permanent marker with a dry erase marker, then wipe. Dry erase ink contains a slippery release agent plus its own solvent, and when you wipe, it dissolves and lifts the permanent ink right along with itself. On walls and wood, alcohol on a cloth is your tool. Work gently so you don't lift the paint or finish too. 13. Ink on leather. Caution here, because leather is skin and harsh solvents will dry it out and crack it permanently. Use rubbing alcohol on a cotton swab, barely damp, and touch only the ink mark itself. Never flood the area. Work in small dabs, and the instant the ink lifts, stop. Then immediately rub in a little olive oil, coconut oil, or proper leather conditioner, because the alcohol strips the natural oils that keep the hide supple. Skip that conditioning step, and you trade an ink stain for a cracked, faded patch. For ballpoint on a leather couch, this gentle, patient method beats every leather ink remover sold at 3 times the price. 14. Nail polish. Acetone dissolves nail polish on contact. It is literally what nail polish remover is. But there's one hard rule. Never use acetone on acetate, triacetate, or modacrylic fabrics, because acetone melts those synthetics and will eat a hole straight through. Check your fabric first. Unsafe materials, dab from behind onto paper towels, same bleed down technique as ink. On hard surfaces like tile or a sink, acetone wipes polish away effortlessly. For fabrics that can't take acetone, rubbing alcohol is the gentler, slower fallback. Weapon 4 is acid, white vinegar, lemon juice, citric acid. Some stains aren't dye or grease at all. They're minerals and metal deposits, and those only dissolve in acid. The acid reacts with the mineral and converts it into a new compound that dissolves in water and rinses clean away. This is your weapon for rust, hard water, and anything mineral. 15. Rust. This is real chemistry, not laundry folklore. Lemon juice and salt. The citric acid in the lemon reacts with iron oxide, rust, and converts it into iron citrate, which, unlike rust, is water-soluble and simply rinses out. Lay lemon juice and salt on the stain, set it in direct sunlight for an hour, then rinse. The sun's warmth speeds the reaction. The critical mistake to avoid: never put chlorine bleach on rust. Bleach reacts with iron to deepen and permanently set the stain. You will turn a removable orange mark into a permanent brown one. Bleach is the single worst thing you can reach for here. 16. Hard water spots and limescale. That chalky white crust on your faucets and shower glass is calcium carbonate, the same mineral as limestone and seashells. It will not scrub off because it is bonded mineral, not grime, but it dissolves instantly in acid. Soak a cloth or a paper towel in warm white vinegar, wrap it around the faucet, and leave it an hour. The acetic acid reacts with the calcium and fizzes it loose with zero scrubbing. For shower glass, a spray bottle of half vinegar, half water used weekly, keeps it from ever building up. 17. Toilet bowl ring. Same mineral villain, calcium and mineral deposits stained by bacteria, and the same acid fix, but lazier. Pour a cup of white vinegar into the bowl, leave it overnight, and the acid eats the ring while you sleep. In the morning, sprinkle in baking soda. It fizzes against the leftover vinegar and gives you a scrub-free brush-light finish. Avoid mixing bleach into this. Bleach plus some toilet cleaners. Releases toxic fumes, and it does nothing for mineral rings anyway. 18. Ketchup and tomato. Tomato is sneaky because it attacks on two fronts. It is acidic, and it carries a stubborn red pigment called lycopene that behaves like a dye. Scrape off the excess first, then rinse from the back in cold water. And here's the part almost everyone gets. Wrong. Never use hot water on a tomato stain. Tomato-based foods contain proteins, and just like blood, heat cooks those proteins and sets the stain permanently. Cold only. After rinsing, dab with white vinegar to break the lycopene, then wash. For a dried-in pasta sauce stain on a white shirt, finish with a little peroxide in the sun to bleach out the last of the red. Weapon 5 is temperature and absorbers. Pure physics. No chemistry at all. Instead of dissolving the stain, you change its physical state. Freeze it solid so it shatters, melt it so it wicks away, or trap it in a powder before it can soak in. This is your weapon for wax, gum, and emergencies. 19. Candle wax. Wax laughs at soap, so you use heat, but controlled heat. First, let the spilled wax harden completely, then scrape off the raised lump with a dull knife or a credit card. Now, lay a plain paper towel or brown paper bag over what's left and run a warm iron across it. The wax remelts and wicks straight up into the paper because the paper absorbs liquid wax better than the fabric holds it. Keep sliding to a fresh, clean section of paper as the wax transfers, and repeat until nothing more lifts. For colored wax that leaves a dye behind, finish with a little rubbing alcohol. 20. Chewing gum. Do the exact opposite of wax. Go cold. Press an ice cube against the gum or throw the whole garment in the freezer until the gum is rock hard and brittle. Frozen gum loses every bit of its sticky, stretchy grip, so instead of smearing into a long, stringy mess, it cracks and shatters off in solid pieces. Pop it off with a dull edge. Any sticky residue left behind responds to a dab of vinegar or rubbing alcohol. This same freeze trick works on candle wax and delicate fabrics, where you can't risk an iron. 21. Fresh grease splatter on fabric or upholstery. Speed is the whole game. The instant it happens, bury it in salt, cornstarch, baby powder, or flour. These powders are hygroscopic. They physically pull liquid oil up out of the fibers before it has a chance to spread and set. Let the powder sit and darken as it soaks up the grease, brush it off, reapply if needed, and only then treat the remaining shadow with dish soap. On a couch or mattress you can't throw in the wash, this powder trick is often the only thing that saves the piece. 22. Mud and dirt. The most counterintuitive trick of all. Do absolutely nothing at first. People see wet mud and immediately attack it, and all that does is grind the dirt into a paste and drive it deep into the weave, turning an easy job into a permanent one. Walk away. Let the mud dry completely and turn to crumbly clay. Then crack it off, brush or vacuum away the dried crumbs, and the vast majority of the stain leaves with the dirt. Only then do you treat the faint shadow that remains with a little dish soap and water. Patience does 90% of the work for free. A few more that earn their place. The ones that ruin a favorite item and feel hopeless until you know the trick. 23. Scorch marks from an iron. When you scorch fabric, the heat has begun to caramelize and brown the fibers. It is literally the first stage of burning, the same browning that happens to toast. If the fibers aren't fully burned through, you can often reverse it. Dampen the area, dab on hydrogen peroxide, and the oxidizer lifts the brown discoloration much like it lifts any other stain. Lay it in the sun to boost the effect. The catch: if the fabric is actually scorched through and the fibers are destroyed, no stain remover on earth brings them back. At that point, the damage is structural, not a stain. Peroxide saves the light scorches. Nothing saves the burned ones. 24. Sticker and adhesive residue. That maddening sticky film left behind by a price tag or a label is a glue, and glue dissolves in oil. Rub cooking oil, peanut butter, or coconut oil into the residue and let it sit a few minutes. The oil breaks down the adhesive's grip until it wipes away in a gummy roll. For glass and hard plastic, rubbing alcohol or a little acetone works even faster. The mistake people make is scrubbing dry, which just smears the glue and rolls it into harder balls. Let the oil do the dissolving first, then wipe. 25. Mystery. Yellowing on white linens and old shirts. Those tan and yellow patches that appear on stored white cotton are usually oxidized body oils and sweat residue you couldn't see when you put the item away. Over months in a drawer, they oxidize and darken into visible yellow. The fix is a long soak in warm water with hydrogen peroxide and a scoop of baking soda, or simply lemon juice and sunlight for natural fabrics. Both oxidize and bleach the yellow back out. One warning for vintage and antique linens. Test a hidden corner first, because aggressive whitening can weaken very old, fragile fibers. For everyday white shirts and pillowcases, this brings them back from the dead. If even one of these saved something you were about to throw out, do me a favor, share it with someone who needs it, hit like and subscribe if you're new. See you in the next one.